Welcome to the Delmarva Almanac. Each week we connect you to the best of Delmarva. I'm your host, Dana Kester McCabe. Lesley McCaskill is a painter working primarily in watercolors. Her works are optimistic with a bright and cheery color palette. I recently met with her at her home in Rehoboth Beach to learn about her work. Here's what she had to say about her beginnings as an artist.
I guess always it was a way to play, and I started making my own paper dolls, and then I started drawing and copying, believe it or not, Archie comics. And, which was, I think, a really good way to do figures. After I got married and we lived overseas for a while. My husband was military. And but when we came back to the United States, we lived with my parents for probably 6 months. And my mom, typical mom, found an artist that taught. And her name was Peggy Cranking. She is the best teacher I've ever had. She has since passed on, but Peggy showed me painting outdoors, plein air. And I have been painting plein air for almost 50 years. Being a gardener and being someone that really appreciates nature, I find it's where I'm the happiest and where I learn so much. It gives me an emotional connection to the scenery when I get to a place that kind of stimulates me. And then I stand and I start sketching little thumbnails like this. And I write beside the thumbnail the emotion and what pulls me to the site. So the thumbnail is just in black and white, It's important to me to have values. So I capture that. And as a lot of people know, if you sit outside, especially at the beach, you might start at 8 a.m. when the sun is, fairly low, and then by 12 noon, it's right on top of you and the light is spreading everywhere. Well, I go back to that thumbnail and I keep it visible, and I also keep my words visible to keep me centered. And sometimes I come up with a gift and I'm like, who painted that? You're completely in your right brain, you're oblivious to people behind you, you're just reacting to the scene in color and observing atmosphere and really having a great time. So I find that watercolors are terrific for plein air. I've been doing it for a long time. I thought about leaving watercolor and going into acrylics and oils. They might be easier to frame, cheaper, but I keep going back to watercolors because it is so portable and I think it's very suited to me. And there's a look that you can't get in other mediums.
This September, Lesley will have a joint show of her paintings with Ricky Sears, a former student from her days as an art teacher at the Landon Boys School in Bethesda, Maryland.
I'm very proud of Ricky. He does extremely wonderful work. He's a very smart young man, very talented, very personable and outgoing. Ricky could probably have been anything, but he delights in creating art. Both Ricky and I are going, actually on the card that's going out, both of us are showing water scenes. His is the ocean, beautiful light turquoise, oil, breaking wave. And mine is a scene of a pond. I call it Clouds on the Water. You'll see water scenes, boat scenes. I'm very much in love with harbors around here. You'll see some of the dunes. I'm not painting as large as I used to paint, which is really funny to say that. In the last few months I've gone smaller. I took a class. I still take classes. I took a class with an artist who starts very small and works things out, then paints it bigger and bigger. And that was kind of interesting to me, and I thought, well, I'll try that. So I've done some smaller works. And for me, small is maybe 9 by 12. That's normally not my way to be. So you'll probably see a few of those.
An artist has many influences, from artists they have studied to the environment they work in. And if they teach, even their students can have a big impact on their work.
The thing I got from teaching kids, though, was they are so free. They take such risk, and their work is so good. Their compositions are intuitive, and they open my eyes to things, to really be aware of what people are doing. You learn. That's why I like to visit art galleries. I like to look at my grandchildren's artwork. I frame my grandchildren's artwork, and I put it up in the house where I can see it. Here's a quote I've used with adult students. Picasso said it took him to be an old man to really learn how to paint like a child. I think you have to trust in the power that is flowing through you and just do it. You're a lucky person if you can find in life a job that makes you happy. And the art and the teaching, I was extremely happy and felt fulfilled. I think as a teacher, you have to be creative. Anything creative just, gives you kudos inside, just, makes you feel alive. My hope is that more young men and women can accept that art can bring them a lot of joy, and they can make a living at it if they look at choices and set themselves up to make a regular salary, and then they can have the freedom to go and do what God has given them to do with art, and I'll have a lot of joy with that.
Check out 20 Years in the Making, an exhibit starting September 1st at the Ocean City Center for the Arts, featuring Lesley McCaskill and Ricky Sears. Well, that's all for this edition of the Delmarva Almanac. Be sure to follow us on Facebook or Twitter, and next week join us to learn more about our local culture and get connected to our natural wonders. We'd like to thank our community partners, the Friends of Delmarva Public Radio, and our underwriters for their help in bringing this program to you, our audience. If you'd like to become an underwriter for this program, visit delmarvaalmanac.com/support. Our theme music was provided by Brightside Studio. This show has been a Moonshell production. Thanks for listening. Until we meet again, may the rhythms and tides of Delmarva bring you good fortune.